gentlemen, welcome to the first episode ever of the Evilution Podcast. I am your host, the Hat Man, and I am joined today from... what's your name again? We just decided
Mr.
upon
Zero.
names before we started this. Mr. Zero. We are joined by Mr. Zero, who is apparently broadcasting to us from some sort of slave dungeon. I
probably should have picked a better background.
Do you want to pick a different background? I mean, this is our first episode. First episodes are always fucked up.
I'll find something else later. I don't feel like looking for a good enough quality image and all that.
All right, fair enough. So basically, the story with this is we're brothers. We grew up together. Both of our parents are the same parents. And we also run a podcast together called The New World Order Now, NWONOW, which I thought was a pretty fantastic name. But we wanted to start this because I'm starting new channels that are going to focus more on artwork, my artwork, because, money.
Well, as opposed to topical commentary from ridiculous people about the ridiculous world that we live in.
Yeah, so the New World Order broadcast, that podcast is pretty much, we just look at what's happening in the news, or at least that's what it's evolved into. When we first started it used to be
it's
like...
terrible, don't watch it.
No, definitely watch. I think it's pretty good.
Haven't you ever heard of negging?
You're a terrible salesman. I think that
no.
on negging.
So this is a whole thing. Not to get us sidetracked right off the rip, but if you tell people not to look at something, it piques their interest.
All right. Well, in that case, don't look at it.
Don't watch it. Terrible.
But yeah, I mean, basically what we do on that podcast, we look at political topics, we have philosophical discussions. What we started out doing is we would bring up a lot of interesting topics that I find interesting, such as the occult, astral projection, artwork. Some of my favorite episodes from a philosophical bent are the commodification of creativity, the bifurcation of human consciousness,
sex and violence.
Sex and violence. That's actually one of our most popular episodes across all streaming platforms. I think it got almost 100,000 views. Not 100,000. Sorry, 1,000. 1,000.
No,
1,000.
Okay.
Almost 1,000 views across all platforms at this point. We also looked at the occult origins of money. And that was a very popular one before I went on my hiatus to try to break back into the job market. So I mean, it's a lot of fun, but what it has, I don't want to say it's devolved, but what it has evolved into is we're basically just talking about the station of the world as it is. And a lot of times, like we did today, I found something very interesting about a philosophy called the Dark Enlightenment that Peter Thiel and a lot of people in Silicon Valley are very into, and we discussed that. So we still do have a philosophical bent, but it has evolved into something where it's hyper-topical, and I just wanted to get back to grassroots where, the reason why I started that podcast in the first place is because one of my favorite pastimes, aside from painting, is that I used to love getting drunk and just having conversations with you at night. And I thought that we came, the more philosophical, the better. And we had a lot of great, you made me think about something that I hadn't thought of before. And then hopefully I did the same with you. And once you moved out, this was six or 7 years ago, I believe. We lived together for a long time in our adult years. But once you moved out, I kind of missed that. Not only that I'm alone, which took a little getting used to, but also that I don't have you there every night where we're both
at immediate disposal.
Yeah, we're both getting a little drunk, and it's just like we get to talk about whatever's on our mind. So that's why we started it. So I wanted to bring this back closer to, why I started the New World Order podcast in the first place. And I thought that a good cornerstone of this would be to talk about art, philosophy, magic, the occult, religion, all the things that we used to have really interesting conversations with in the first place.
Well, the funniest thing is that just to throw a bit of lore in there, it's the drunken conversation led to our first, was it 3 that we recorded, just never making it to the internet.
Oh, the first podcast that we recorded definitely did not make
it because it was the 4th one that we finally felt comfortable posting, right?
I think that's correct. We could not get our alcohol consumption in exactly the right space. It's kind of like when you're watching Futurama, Bender, and Fry goes, "Bender, you haven't drank enough alcohol. Or you've drank too much. Actually, I don't know exactly how it works with you." Like both of us were in that state, and like one of us would be it's like fucking shit hammered.
It's like playing pool or darts. It's like you need a couple of beers to like get loose, but like,
when you have too many,
you start hitting like the wall or other people in the bar with the darts.
Yeah, exactly. Or throwing them backwards, or So, so what I want to do with this podcast, this is the idea, is we're going to talk about art, philosophy, the occult. And I know that the older that you get, you're less and less of a believer in the power of, let's call it magic or sorcery, to change the real world around us.
I actually wouldn't. I wouldn't classify myself as that. It's not that my belief in it wanes over time. It's that I would classify it more as like that phrase, like never attribute to malice that which can be attributed to stupidity. With the occult, I've kind of like adopted a similar thing where it's like never attribute to like spiritual pressure that which can be attributed to coincidence or your own working in meat space, let's call it.
Right, exactly. So I mean, you're more.
I'm a bit more quote unquote grounded. Not saying that is a good thing, but just as a
well, let's say the older you get, you become more identified with being a super logician. Is that fair enough? It's not really what you are, but you seem to. But you seem to identify with it. I mean, it seems to be the thing about yourself that makes you proud. The more logical your mind is, you're slowly becoming Spock. Let me put it that way.
I'm a very technically minded person, and I do have some pointy ears that I can throw on if you want. But no, that
would be awesome.
But no, I would say that as time goes on, it's not that the wonder fades away from life. It's that I see that we're making this, whether by natural or supernatural means. And so it makes me more curious about people's actual physical motivations and actions.
Oh, what's the quote from Rorschach in The Watchmen? God doesn't make the world this way.
Yeah, God didn't rape that child. God didn't butcher that person. Yeah, exactly. We did. Just us. Like there is no God kind of thing.
Yeah,
and it's a cynical and jaded viewpoint to come from, and
not necessarily. I respect it. I really do. I do respect.
Well, there's
a lot of members, even of. So we need to introduce ourselves for this. But I am a Satanist. I am a member of the Church of Satan. I've been a member of the Church of Satan since 1999. I am an occultist. I am a sorcerer, and we'll get into introductions beyond that. But I'm just trying to remember that this is our first episode because you and I have been podcasting for a couple of years, but this is a new one.
Sure.
But there are, being that I am a member of the Church of Satan, I do understand that there is a large percentage of the body of the Church of Satan that does not believe in the application of what in the Satanic Bible is called greater magic.
Ritual magic.
They do not practice ritual magic. They think that it is simply a psychological mechanism for catharsis, and they don't practice it, and they don't see any applicable effect, or they do not hope for an applicable effect, and I respect that. And I
live in a gray area there because we've done ritual magic together, and like I've seen things happen that I can't explain, and it's like, is that will manifest? Is that it's kind of like the entire
that you were
story.
With me, and I don't remember it this way, but you said you were with me in that one ritual that we did where the windows just fucking blew open.
Yeah, at the hunting lodge.
Yeah, that was
and if you recall, the reason why I can prove that I was there is because I was actually the one who was kind of like, you were running it, but it was for me because there was a very important legal matter that was coming up.
Oh, is that the same ritual? Okay, well,
that's the same ritual.
Let's talk. You were being prosecuted for driving without a driver's license, I think.
No, driving without insurance.
Driving without insurance. Okay. And you had a court date the next day. So we were up at 3 o'clock in the morning. You had to get up early, man. And we were up at 3 o'clock in the morning doing this fucking ritual. It starts storming. And all the windows are latched. They're flap windows. They're all latched. And they all blew open at exactly the same time during the height of the ritual.
Do you remember right after it happened, though? Because the floor of this was made out of slate stones, and they were placed into poured concrete.
Yes.
And I was banging the staff down, and one of them came loose.
I remember myself banging the staff down on the floor because I got so scared when the windows flew open. That was you?
Mm-hmm.
Why do I not remember you being there? I completely reinterpreted this memory as it being...
That's strange. You merged us into the same person for that. But yeah, we were in front of the fireplace.
Maybe that's it. Like some weird occult thing where I just assumed your identity and merged it into mine for my memory banks. That's really weird.
So some kind of strange Gemini principle,
Now, the interesting thing about this ritual is my girlfriend at the time who lived with us, Becky, she woke up and she interrupted it. But we finished the ritual. And the next morning, even though it was late spring, if I remember correctly, there's an inch and a half of snow on the ground. And you barely got there because the roads were so slippery because nobody's anticipating snow in late spring. You barely got there on time, but you got there and you won the case without any battle whatsoever, which is what...
Oh, no, yeah. So when I walked into the courtroom, before I walked into the courtroom, I was in the hallway. I showed up there, obviously with something like that, you're trying to show up, well in advance. And
you got there, right on time.
10 minutes before we had to go in. Whereas normally I would give myself 30 for something that important.
Of course.
So it was 10
They take your driver's license away. They're taking your livelihood away at that point.
Oh yeah, at that point, yeah. If I couldn't drive, I would have to switch jobs. But I showed up. My lawyer was there in the hallway. He was like, "I already talked to the prosecutor. We're good. Don't worry about it, bro. We're just gonna go in there. Just let me talk. Don't say anything. We're good."
Wow. So it was that easy.
Yeah. He just went in. They had all already agreed to it. The prosecutor and my attorney had all agreed to it. They walked in. They said their pieces, so it all went on record with the court, and I was done.
So,
but that was the head of 2 or 3 years of dealing with that.
Well, it's interesting to me that, and I'm just going to say this. Our other podcast is becoming slightly performative, which is not something I'm saying is bad about it. I enjoy it. I do enjoy it. However, this is really the type of conversation that I wanted to have and why we started the podcast in the first place. So I'm happy that we're making space to do this, and I appreciate you taking the time. So I'm getting to know you again. You're not a super logician when it comes to occult phenomenon. You have an open mind toward it. It's just the more that you see, the more those systems in your brain are placed, and you can see cause and effect where you couldn't see it before.
Exactly. And so I would say it's more I believe that the effect that we have on the world isn't entirely the way we physically interact with it, but the way we emotionally and spiritually interact with it. And spiritually is doing so much heavy lifting there.
It's doing a lot of heavy lifting. I would say emotionally more than that. Yeah.
But there is a supernatural quality to every human being, who dreams.
Well, I like
discussion too.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. What?
I said, who dreams anyway? Because we can have that discussion too. But it's
absolutely.
Any human who dreams and who can create thoughts out of whole cloth in their own mind, because there's always external influence. But the point being is that we have met people and we've had this discussion who profess to not dreaming.
Yeah.
Who profess to
one of them. Yeah. Very smart guy, but he says he doesn't dream.
Yeah, who profess to being like, oh, like, so there's somebody else who's not blood related to us, but who sat there and said something to the effect of like, well, I don't know how you can write a story because how do you make stuff up? It's like, I'm sorry, what? Like, how do you make stuff up? Like, you aren't always making up stuff.
How do you not? I'm making stuff up every second of every day, whether it's
I'm
what
making
I think
stuff
I'm
up
about
right
to
now.
experience, or things that I would like to produce, or things that I think other people should think that they don't think. Most of it comes down to worry, where I'm thinking about things that are about to happen that actually never happen. But I'm always creating something in my brain. There's always, all cylinders are firing all the time, which frankly is why I drink, because it slows that down a little bit and it puts me more, it levels me out a little bit.
It makes me, you know what, I've been analyzing that a lot lately because I do need to cut back because I know I'm getting to that point where I'm going to start doing physical, I'm going to complete the path toward absolute liver destruction.
Right,
but
exactly.
It's one of those things where, like, when I think about why I do it, it's not because it numbs me to things or slows me down. It's because it kind of gets that monkey off my back, that anxiety that eats at you.
That's exactly what I mean.
They won't let you be creative because you're like, well, I can't create anything because right now I need to deal with this tangible problem that is staring down.
Which is a future that you're creating in your head that'll probably never happen.
Exactly, but that's still another form of creativity. You can't control that thought process, you know.
But here's what I'm saying. And then I think we should introduce ourselves before we go any further. But here's what I'm saying. Creativity, evolutionarily, is simply a problem-solving mechanism. Creativity and anxiety, I think, are twins.
So the funny thing is, I think that they can be counterintuitive to each other in this day and age, though, because the funny thing is, I would state that, in my opinion, I'm blurting this out. I haven't fully thought this through.
Yeah,
so
go ahead.
If you take umbrage to any part of this, let me know. Mm-hmm. I think that it's an evolutionary throwback, like the pinky toe. It's one of those things where it's like, I do feel like that anxiety doesn't need to be manifest the way that it still does.
So you're talking about anxiety, not creativity specifically.
Yes. I'm talking about
throwback. Okay.
Yeah, anxiety, not creativity. I think creativity always needs to exist. I think that the anxiety that comes from whether or not you can face something or what you need to do to alter things. I feel like the anxiousness shouldn't be there anymore. It should be more of like a freeing thing.
Now, I think, the human species is a predator species, obviously. And the easiest way that you can tell is that our eyes are on the front of our head, right? They're not on the sides. And that's the easiest way to tell a predator from a prey species.
Real quick.
Yeah, good.
Sorry, go on. I don't want to interrupt your thought.
But so now a cat, the domesticated animal.
I was about to bring up domesticated cats, actually.
We're also familiar with. The first thing that they do when they wake up, if you ever watch your cat, is the first thing that they'll do is they'll jump up, make sure everything's cool, and then they'll walk around your house, making sure that nothing's out of place. They want to control their environment, and if something's out of place, they have to inspect it. If you've ever noticed when you move, you've moved recently, when you move, your cat's freak the fuck out. Everything's different. I can't predict the environment. So I think that that's part of, I think that leads into, in human beings, evolved human beings, the creativity mechanism. I think that it does come from anxiety to a certain, it also comes from exhibition,ism, but I think it does come from anxiety. I think that may be one of the roots of trying to solve a problem that a predator has through a highly evolved frontal lobe mechanism.
So I think that you're kind of going into Dolly's paranoid critical method and all of
exactly.
that. Exactly. I know you've studied a lot of that.
Sure.
Which I'm sure you could describe better than me. So if we want to put a definition in there, you can put a button on that.
It's basically the misreading of external phenomenon according to what you want to happen. That's all the paranoid critical method is.
So my thought about that being like obsolete at this point, or close to obsolete. I don't think it's actually obsolete.
And once
but
again,
it's like
we're
I do
talking
find
about anxiety, not creativity.
Yes, anxiety.
Yeah.
So I think one of the most interesting things about cats is they live in this gray area, like domesticated house cats, not jungle cats and stuff like that.
Right.
They live in this strange gray area where they're predator and prey.
Mm.
So it's really interesting
true.
to watch them react to things because they don't have that weird freewheeling spirit the dog has.
Mm-hmm.
As like when people ask like, oh, well, a fundamental question, are you a dog person or a cat person? It's like, I'm both, but for different reasons. Because a dog is very much like, they're there for you. Yeah. They're like, hey, you're the guy.
That's what I was going to say. Here. Yeah. Yeah.
A cat is there very much by you. Like they will take their cues from you. If you're comfortable in the environment, they get comfortable quicker. If you're sitting there,
a cat really doesn't give a fuck. Really?
No, both. So like, if you're a good cat person who understands that dogs are cool too, if you're not like, oh well, cats are just the bee's knees. If you're the kind of cat person who likes dogs, your cats will start acting like dogs. Like my cats act like dogs. I can play fetch with them. Like I will sit there and like I treat them like I'm a cat though. Like when I wake up and they're near me, it's like the first thing that I do is I don't pet them with my hand. I move up to them, press my nose against theirs, and rub the side of my face against theirs.
Oh, they see you as one of them. That's what you're doing.
So the whole thing is that, but both of them are like that. Like I am just the dad, basically. Like they both see me as like their biological father, it seems like.
So the way that I see the difference between cats and dogs, cats are there as a reminder because they're so... Okay, let's start with dogs. Dogs are there for you, like you said. Perfect. They are there to please you. And it's like Joe Rogan's old comedy sketch, and I do see comedy as a very high art form, very necessary art form. Actually,
the apex of which being George Carlin.
George Carlin, I think Bill Burr is right there. I think Louis C.K. may have surpassed him. I have my diary, my grimoire that I write about all my rituals, my out of body experiences, etc. And when where was I going with that? When a cat,
dogs and cats,
when a dog, why did I bring up the grimoire? Jesus Christ.
So you brought up comedians because you were saying that you agreed with a comedian's take on dogs, I'm assuming?
That's right. The grimoire, the very first page that I wrote, and this was 6 or 7 years ago, I wrote, and now we travel to a place where fools sit on thrones and watch the kings juggle. And I think that we've largely come to that place. That was a prediction I made in the first page of my grimoire. So I do consider comedy to be a very important art form. And Joe Rogan has a bit about cats and dogs. And he goes, a dog, you have a gerbil. And you let the gerbil hang. No, you can't eat him. This is a part of our family. And the dog's like, really? Family? Okay. I was going to fuck you up, bro. And then, but if you have a cat, the cat will just like kill the gerbil and then be like, you know what I is, and walk and turn around and show you its butthole while it walks away. like cats are so comfortable in their own skin. Like their instincts are so embedded in what they're untrainable. And I think especially for artists, because I think that creative people, if you're actually trying to make something, your anxiety levels are at like 1,000% over being what you are, because our society doesn't deal with artists well. That, a cat is a good example of just being comfortable in your own skin. Aside from the hair, if you're a painter, it's probably a really good pet to have. A dog is just a companion.
I would say that the interesting thing in that analogy, is that the cat actually sits there and can be trained more than a dog in certain weird ways, just because of the way that they deal with their own fecal matter and urine and everything. It's like a cat hates going to the bathroom in anything but a litter box.
Yeah, if you train
a dog will shit anywhere. But you can train a cat to shit in a toilet.
No,
you can't
man,
train a dog to shit in a toilet.
That's true, but you do have dogs that are just going to piss themselves over getting outside when they got to go. They're like whining at the door, scratching the fuck out.
Well, sure, you can get ones that
don't want to disappoint you.
Yeah, you can get dogs that have excited bladders, even where like they just get so happy to see you that they start peeing because they just can't control it. You know.
Well, what I'm saying is, you can train them the same way, like the dog you take outside. The dog is going to fucking try to rip that door down before it shits in the house. It does not want to disappoint you, but the cat's motivation is different. The cat is a more dignified creature. It's not about pleasing you. I
want to shit here because this is where it's safe.
Here's what I went through when I pissed on the floor. I don't want to go through that again, and you're bigger than me, so I'm just going to go in this fucking box. That's the attitude they seem to have.
So I will agree with you that they do seem to tend to be more aloof. But the funny thing is, I found, and 3 cats down now, you know.
Yeah. You killed them pretty quickly.
Yeah, exactly. Had some Szechuan boss the other day. But too soon?
Yeah, too soon.
I do love that she's like a coral reef somewhere. That's great. But but yeah, no, like I found that I try to treat animals, and maybe this is me. Like, do you feel this way? I try to treat animals like I'm that. I'm like, okay, well, what's your love language? Like, not to be too like neat, like whatever, but it's like I try to figure out any animal, like, what's your love language? And it's like, that's the language that I try to. So it's like, I face snuggle the shit out of any cat I have.
Sure.
It's like dogs, I'll sit there and like, one of the first things I'll do if I know that a dog is like, is calm, like as long as he's got a good temperament, one of the first things I'll do is lay down on my back in front of him. Like, I don't care if it's a social weirdness. I will flop on my back so that he knows that, like, no, hey, this is your space, man. I'm just here with you. Immediate reaction of every dog I do that to, licks my face, won't leave me alone after that. After that, he follows me, not his own. Everywhere I go, he is up my ass waiting for his prompts from me.
This is very anti-Caesar Milan.
Yes, I agree. And it's funny because I do think that, so I think that when dogs have like psychological or like past issues, like, yeah, you have to be like a certain way with them. It's like, if you're catching good vibes from a dog, I just try to act like a dog. I won't sniff the butthole, just so everybody knows. I don't get that intimate.
Well, you might get
I'll only lick it
from that. Yeah. Okay. There you go.
I only lick it. It's a taste test.
Right.
It just needs to be a little bit nutty. But no, like it's funny. Like, I will act like a dog to dogs. I will act like a cat to cat, as long as I'm catching a good vibe from that. And I usually do.
So let's introduce ourselves real quick.
Yeah, this has gotten off the rails.
Nah, not that's fine. It's the first episode, doesn't matter. I just feel like it's apropos to do it. So to set what we are or what we represent. Why don't you go first? You're a musician. I know that you're not going to be on every episode. Eventually, I do want these episodes to turn into something where we are interviewing other artists, occultists, free thinkers, philosophers, spiritual practitioners.
Weirdos.
Yeah, generally. Yeah, anybody that what's the guy that wrote the Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas? What's his name again?
Hunter S. Thompson.
Yeah, anybody Hunter S. Thompson would want to talk to. We would like to talk to you. But yeah,
too weird to live and too rare to die.
Yeah, why don't you go first, introducing yourself and what you do and the artistic vocations that you're interested in? Because I'm sure that, when I say the description of myself and what I'm interested in, that will lead to further conversation. So why don't you go first?
Sure. Yeah, so I have a long history with being a technical person, which largely led to how I express myself in art. So actually, let's make this super stupid and long. So growing up, my brother over there is 2 years older than me, and he was a tremendously talented artist at a very young age. We're both incredibly smart, always said, like, whatever, blow sunshine up our asses. But
Yeah,
we
exactly.
always tested within the 90th percentile in everything. And my brother was the type of person who always wanted me to be there by his side learning with him. He never wanted me left behind, to the point where
I'm still that way. I don't want to do anything without you. I wish you were working on these businesses with me.
nah, I hear you. I just don't have the time.
I know, man. I get it.
It sucks. Hey, if it starts making money, but
Yeah, that's the caveat.
one of my most vivid memories from my childhood is, because we are both born in the fall, but me slightly earlier month-wise. He sat there and went to school only 1 year ahead of me. They wouldn't let him go into
You missed the
kindergarten
cutoff
early.
days. Right.
You missed the cutoff
I
date.
went in on time. You went in early.
Yeah, because you missed the cutoff date to go in early, because they tried to put
right.
you in early
There
too.
you go. Okay, I got you.
But because he's the end of November and I'm the beginning of October, I just made the cutoff date. He was well behind it. So he only ended up entering kindergarten a year before me. He'd come home every day from school and be the teacher and hold a kindergarten class.
Oh, dude, you want to hear a funny story about this? So I would steal dittos. Yeah, you going to talk about that?
Yeah.
I got caught
he would
once.
he would
I got caught.
he
That
would
was
get
the only
extra
time I got in
dittos to
trouble.
bring home.
It's the only time I got in trouble in kindergarten.
But to the point where he sat there and made me have snack time, because that's something that they were doing. So here I am, 3 years old to his 5 years old. And he's stealing dittos and giving me snack time. And like, he was so intent on me learning that he almost drowned me once. Which is one of my most vivid and hilarious memories, because it was snack time. So it was snack time, and you wanted to get back to teaching so bad that you were angry that I was not eating my
juice
and drinking my juice quick enough. So you just tilted it back into my fucking mouth.
Oh my God.
And almost drowned me, because you were like, we need to get back to learning time.
That would be an innocent murder. I don't think I had malicious intent at 5 years old.
Oh no, not at all. But it was super funny though, because it was one of those situations where I think that really developed the bond between you and I as we were growing up, because it was just this like, no, like, we're in this together. Like, hey, why aren't we in the same grade? Like, I think that there's a part of you that wanted us to be twins.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. Even though when you were first born, and I don't remember any of this, our parents showed me recordings.
Yeah, we were told in retrospect, yeah.
Like, I was super bitchy about the fact that I was now going to have a brother and couldn't have all the attention. But,
no.
Once I got to know you.
Where'd you get that story?
That's what that's what they tell us. That's what they told me.
No, so I got the opposite story. You were mad at me. But for this specific reason, this is the way I was told it by our mother, is you were so waiting for me to show up, because they did the thing where like they were worried about you being upset with having to share attention. So they hyped me up like, oh, you're going to be able to play with him. You're going to be able to like do this and that and everything. I'm like, you were like,
it's basically a built-in friend. Yeah.
Yeah. You were like, right on, let's do this. When's he going to get here? They told you when my due date was. And so this is what I got from Mom. I don't know what Dad's memory of this is. But Mom sat there, and once she gave birth, you were like, all right, when can we play? And she was like, oh, honey, it's not going to be for like a couple of years. He's like a potato.
A couple of months. You don't know your
no, a couple of years. Like
we're only 2 years apart, dude. It can't be a couple of years. I was a fucking potato when they.
No, my point is that you being 2, you're a toddler. You're ambulatory. It's going to take me till I'm almost 2 before I can.
Oh. Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so Mom sat there, was like, well, honey, like, you can't play with him right now. And you got apparently incensed by that, because like you were lied to.
Yeah.
Like that, I think that's where your conspiratorial nature comes from. Is you're like, oh, they're pulling the wool over my eyes.
It's probably one of the things.
But so that's the way the story was related to me, actually, by our mother. Is that like you were so disappointed when you found out that I had to be old enough for you to play with, because you were like the second he's born, like, oh yeah, alphabet magnets. We're gonna fucking rock with these He-Man toys. Like we're just gonna be like all wheels on the ground, full steam. And then when you found out that I was just like a lump, you were like, oh shit.
When you're that age, a few years is a fucking eternity, man.
Dude, it's forever.
It's forever.
So it's like I totally get it, but it's like that's the way it was always presented to me, actually. So like
they presented it to me completely different, and our parents were extremely manipulative, dark people. So we'll get into that.
They're weird,
podcast,
and they had such a bad relationship. So anyway, I've gotten off on a tangent. So to get back to it,
because you're talking about me more than you're talking about you.
yeah, we're just introducing ourselves. So I always obviously looked up to my brother because he was always there trying to like do shit for me and
dude,
bring me
I really
along.
appreciate that. Thank you.
And so when they told him how good of an artist he was, when he started drawing with colored pencils and stuff like that.
Are you getting drunk? You're supposed to be talking about you.
No, I'm getting into it.
All right.
It's just a long intro. It's because this is about the relationship, because that's what this podcast is going to be about.
I get it. Go ahead.
So,
man. I love it.
So when they told him how good of an artist he was,
here's what's going on, man. I made the speech shit-faced at our father's our
and nailed it.
Our father's second marriage. Nailed it, shit-faced, and then you had to get up and make a speech, and you're like, I don't have anything left to talk about. That's what you're doing to me right now. So take your revenge. Go ahead.
All right, good. But so, I was like, well, he's better than me. He's always going to be better than me because he's older. I'm like, well, what can I get good at? So I started writing. I took a deep interest in poetry.
Nice.
I took a deep interest in music. But it started with poetry. The lyrics are always paramount to me.
Yeah. And when I look at your work, I feel like if anybody's familiar with the HBO movie Amadeus, and if you're not, go watch it. It's amazing.
Oh, fucking phenomenal.
I always felt like, when I looked at your writing, I felt like, especially once you became an adult and you really started to discipline it, I always felt like a Salieri character. I can see the genius in it, but I cannot replicate it.
Well, thank you. That's like honestly heartwarming. But yeah, so I dove hard into that. I've actually been oddly published in newspapers because I was in this yeah, so I was you probably forgot about it because there's just a lot going on at the time, but when we were in middle school, there was this
keep
group
talking, I'm
gonna
go take a piss, all right, but I can still hear you.
Sure. So there's a group called JOY, which stood for Joining Old and Young, and it took actually established writers who were like in their golden years, like in their 60s to 90s, and they were actually like published writers, poets, essayists, and stuff like that. And the goal was to sit there and take aspiring writers from the Gifted and Talented program in our middle school, and join them up with these established writers. And I learned a lot from those people. Like there was a Holocaust survivor in the group. They had the blue tattoo on their arm and shit. Like that was crazy to read their poetry and their prose because they were so articulate about what it was like to live through that. And I read a lot of their work. I wish I could remember their name. I'd have to sit there and go back at look back at the news article. But like, just these incredibly talented senior citizens who sat there and dedicated their time and volunteered their time like for nothing, because it's like, hey, they're passionate artists who are looking at us and being like, yeah, no, let me help you, let me talk to you, let me tell you what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong. And talking to a lot of those people made me realize, like, because I was getting really good at the what would you call it? It's not the substance of it, because the substance was what was lacking. I was getting good at the style. I was getting good at making things sound interesting, unique, passionate, but they could tell that it was artifice. And actually, that's probably
it wasn't your voice. You had to find your voice.
It wasn't genuine. It wasn't genuine.
It was
and so
what one of my teachers called mawkish.
Yes, and it was the Holocaust survivor who sat there and said, like, you know what I've been through. And they were like, find what you've been through. It's like, yeah, you're young, but you feel things. Because they were like, when I was in Auschwitz, I was 11.
I mean, my mother, the biggest fucking crushing blow to my heart growing up with our parents was when our mother said, no, you're not an adult, so you don't feel things. You just think you feel things. You're not a real person yet. And you had exactly the opposite experience, which must have been really fantastic.
Yeah, no, and that's super fucked. But yeah, so I had a Holocaust survivor be like, hey, just because you didn't go through what I went through doesn't make what you go through fake.
Any less genuine.
It doesn't make it meaningless. They're like, what makes your work meaningless is when you write something that's false. Yes. When you write something that's fraudulent.
Yes. Perfect. I love it.
And I took that to heart. And from that point on, I was like, if I'm saying it, I have to mean it. And dude, looking through my poetry journals and stuff like that from that era, oh my god, so edgelord juvenile bullshit.
She was on the right track. He was on the
right
track.
But I was on the right track. Yeah.
No. I mean, but their criticism was on the right track. Track. Yeah.
So it's like I started writing more about what I felt, and of course, my feelings were stupid.
Well, they were just undeveloped.
Underdeveloped.
You don't have the experience. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like cracking an egg open onto a plate. It's like, you're not just going to eat that. It needs some time to cook. It's like, otherwise it's just snot. Like, it's just like snot.
Right.
But so that was a big formative experience. And then when I started, like, actually you and your friends were responsible for getting me into music. And this is the funniest story that I can tell to introduce my love of music, is that I had purchased a CD/tape deck in the 90s, which you got to understand, CDs were newer things, but we lived in a relatively affluent area, but we were poor ourselves. We were living in our grandmother's house to take care of her.
Very poor, yes.
So I remember when I bought my first boombox, and that had a CD player on it. So CD player on the top, tape deck on the bottom. The first CD I ever bought was Soul Asylum's Grave Dancers Unit because of the single Runaway Train.
Great fucking album, man. Runaway Train, such a great song.
The whole album is gold, top to bottom. Fucking Black Gold. There's so many good tracks on that.
I might end up listening to that while I'm doing the editing for this. Now that you brought it up,
I remember the smell of the first CD I ever bought because it smelled so different from audio cassettes. Like, and smell is such a sensory memory, and so it's like I remember
one of the
way.
biggest reasons I want to stop smoking so I can do that again.
Oh yeah, my sense of smell hasn't degraded that bad, but yeah,
you don't realize how much it's degraded until you quit for
it's not what it used to be.
And I could smell a fucking flower bed from a block away in Philadelphia. Dude, yeah, it degrades.
Even switch, like, here's the funny thing, even switch what brand of cigarettes you're smoking and you'll start tasting the tobacco again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's strange.
It definitely has an impact. Yeah, so go ahead.
But yeah, so you guys, I would let you guys use it. And there was a lamppost in our backyard that had a outlet on it. And so you brought it out there and plugged it into the outlet. And I was listening to this music, and I was like, this is different from anything I've ever heard before.
And it was Soul Asylum?
No, hold on. It wasn't any album I owned. I was letting you guys borrow the system. Yeah, because the other kids were affluent. They had CDs and stuff of their own.
All right, so what were we listening to?
I pop open the top of it, and it's Metallica's Black Album.
Ooh, such a great album. Unforgiven is the best fucking song ever.
And so I was like, this is my new favorite band ever.
Yeah.
This music speaks to me.
Yes.
What I didn't realize is that you guys weren't playing the CD. Tommy just left it in there. You guys were playing the tape deck. And the tape deck was Nine Inch Nails' Pretty Hate Machine.
Oh, so you weren't actually hearing Metallica?
No, I was hearing Nine Inch Nails' Pretty Hate Machine and thought it was Metallica.
Ooh, okay.
When I found that out, still in love with Nine Inch Nails, just went and saw them last year. It was phenomenal. Every performance, like, see that man before he retires, for the love of fucking God.
You and I got to see one of your true heroes, Leonard Cohen.
Writing-wise, yeah.
Leonard Cohen. Right before his death. Leonard Cohen is probably
my writing hero, yeah.
Well, I would say he's most likely the best poet of our age. And he's also
the best lyricist, certainly, yeah.
He's... I don't know. Can you name a better poet than Leonard Cohen?
I can't name a better poet, but I can say with absolute certainty, best lyricist. I'm just saying there may be a poet that I haven't seen out there.
Yeah.
I have not seen a lyricist better.
Yeah.
But yeah. But yeah, so that's why I got into Leonard Cohen, actually, is because this is the chain of events. Like, this is, so let's make this episode about inspiration, and I'll yield my time in a moment.
Whoops, hang on. Pause. All right, good. Sorry about that.
What did he have going?
Just the TV was at 100%. Good.
Oh, okay. But no, so deep breath for editing. But yeah, so I think the most interesting thing to do with this episode then is inspiration. So that led to discovering Marilyn Manson, because Marilyn Manson was signed to Trent Reznor's Nothing label. That led to sitting there and discovering Leonard Cohen. And Leonard Cohen was because Trent Reznor sat there and was in charge of getting the songs together for the Natural Born Killer soundtrack.
That's right. Yeah.
That's how we discovered Leonard Cohen, is because he curated that album.
Natural Born Killer. Such a great movie, and the album is perfect. The soundtrack is perfect.
Pitch perfect.
Absolutely.
Then he sits there and he does Lost Highway for David Lynch, which introduces me to David Lynch, because, well, if Trent Reznor's involved, then I got to check out this director.
Mm-hmm.
That introduces us to Rammstein. That introduces us to and
actually Rammstein introduced me to Gottfried Hellman.
Mm-hmm. So it's this chain of just never deny yourself, I guess, would be where I'll end my introduction. Like, your sources as an artist will always be what define your work, because you are sitting there and taking what's put into you. You are a conduit, and you are putting new things out that are based on your input.
Marilyn Manson, there's a video of Marilyn Manson giving a speech or a lecture to a very small, it's not a college, it's not an auditorium, he's a surprise guest in an art class in a college first year, and he's in this little classroom that has like 20 kids, and he gives a speech, and one of the things he says is that the reason why my art is political is because politicians are in the business of taking things out of the world, and artists are in the business of putting things into the world.
And it can't help but be political. Yeah.
It can't, so therefore it can't help but be political. Exactly.
But yeah, so that's my introduction. So I write music, I write lyrics. I'm also a technician.
Yeah, that introduction's crazy because, all right. Yeah, you're a technician, you're a poet, you're a musician. I'm a painter. All right, where do we go from there? That's my introduction. My name is the Hat Man, and I'm a painter. You left me nowhere to go.
So here's where he goes. So when he was younger, he started getting inspired by
Who's he?
Comics because our father was into
Who's
that.
he? Oh, me? No.
You.
I'll give my own introduction. I was just fucking with you.
I think my favorite thing that you've ever created as a like just intellectual concept is the In-Betweener.
My favorite thing that you ever created was the album that you created. Now, we were living in a situation where, getting down to brass tacks here, for some reason, I was very good at making money at a very early age. I dropped out of high school. So
I think it's because you were afraid of not making money. I think it was your fear of relying on other people that like really made you have to take care of yourself.
Oh, certainly. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Also, there was an adversarial stance.
Sure, like
I told me I can't do this, so I'm gonna fucking prove you wrong. You know?
Exactly, and I can relate to that. Like that whole like oh well, you're never gonna do anything if you can't do X, and you're like,
and that's what I was told.
I will destroy you.
Yeah, and I did, and I never got any accolades boys out of it. So we were at a point where I dropped out of high school. And you can talk all you want about 90th percentile, but I couldn't hack it. Our family was going through some turmoil, and then
tumultuous,
very tumultuous. And then we
to prove our 90th percentile,
we end up in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And I start a career as a photographer, as a portrait photographer, and I start making good money. I'm 19 years old.
And he did it all on lies. It was delicious. Like seriously,
I lied to get the job. So basically I'm sitting there in the only formal dress clothes I have, which is a bright orange satin shirt and black khakis. And I'm so eager for the job. This witch who's running the company at that point,
Linda, right?
Linda, her name was Linda.
Yeah.
She's like, well, that guy in the orange silk shirt, he's hired because I can tell he's really hungry. And I was like, fuck, that's not the impression I wanted to give. But I did lie through the whole thing. I was like, I've been doing wedding portraits for years, blah, blah, blah. I lied about my age to get in here. I've never taken a fucking professional photograph before.
Oh, yeah. You didn't even own a camera.
No, I didn't own a camera. And my thinking was, what do you got to lose? You're a high school dropout and you're 19 and you're living with your girlfriend and you don't have a job. Or I did at that point. I was working at NTB changing tires. So I was like, I'm going to lie.
You have a job you hate that pays poorly.
Yes, exactly. I don't get along with those people. The workaday people, I don't get along with them. So my idea was, I'm just going to lie and get the job. And then if my work, I think I'm good enough at this that I can figure it out in a couple weeks. And if I don't start producing good photographs in a couple weeks, then I'll get fired. And I haven't lost anything. It's fine. So let's just go balls to the wall. And I did, and it worked out. And then you ended up living with us. And then and
you got me the same job, and we're just like, we'll lie even harder because you had actually had artistic training. Like, this is the fucked up thing is that like the reason why you did that is because your art tutor sat there and in case anybody thinks that like we're rich or something, it was some dude who was at this cult church that we were at to like murder.
Yeah, it was some dude that was our father asked him, hey, keep an eye on him. Would you pretend to tutor him in art while you keep an eye on him and feedback to me what he's going through? Because he seems very rebellious.
Make sure he doesn't fuck the bitches.
Make sure he doesn't fuck the devil.
But so you had been told by this individual, if you're ever starving as an artist, just get a camera.
Pick up a camera because people spend far too much in photography. Yeah.
So you took that to heart and you fucking ran with it hard. And like he
I
lied
ran
a
with it
little
hard
bit
for over 20 years, dude. That's running pretty
no.
hard. Yeah.
But I mean, the first year, like he lied with it hard because he had never taken a professional photograph in his life. Had no idea what he was doing. Didn't understand terms like aperture. Didn't understand like how to even load the film in the camera.
No idea.
And he was like,
absolutely
"But
no
idea." But I'm that guy. You can trust me. And like this bitch with like in the company is in there's like he's hungry. We can pay him very little, and so he gets in, and then
Here's the thing. She was right, and I did it.
Oh, sure, 100%. And then, like, the funny thing is, on your recommendation, they hire a guy who's never touched art because I was always
not only that, but has
domain.
no interest in the visual arts.
No, I actually do really love them now. I will say at the time,
but at the time you did.
I am very much into them now. Like some of the artists you've introduced me to, like. Oh, fucking, like, going to the Salvador Dali Museum in St. Petersburg, Florida was, like, fucking beautiful.
Ooh!
Like,
was that an experience or was that an experience? Holy shit!
Dude, I love that picture.
Like, I'm standing on my feet in front of the Columbus painting at the Salvador Dali Museum in Florida. I'm standing on my feet.
Huge.
But in my heart, I'm on my fucking knees. Holy shit. I'm kneeling before it in my heart, praying to have the same capacity.
That's where I would have my Salieri moment. It's like, just like, because the funniest thing is the persistence of memory is one of the smallest paintings I've ever seen that is famous.
Yeah, it's like maybe 10 by 10 or some shit like that.
And then that atomized Columbus shit is one of the biggest paintings I've ever fucking seen.
Yeah. Cubus,
like, that thing is enormous.
Corpus Hypercubus Corpus.
Corpus Hypercubus is like 6 foot
it's in the Met in New York City, and
it's like 6 foot by 4 foot.
Yeah, it's not huge compared to the Columbus painting, but that's like, now that I'm mature, that's the painting that I go to weep. But the Columbus painting, I mean, how old was I? I was in my like very early 30s, if not late 20s, when we went to Florida.
Late 20s, I think. Yeah.
And I, in my heart, I was kneeling before it.
Dude, it's like you can't help but kneel before it. It's because it's so big and so great, but so big.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to the story.
Where was I?
So you were talking about photography and it was, he's hungry.
Oh yeah, well I and then I got you a job. That's where you were going. Good.
Yeah, and I was sitting there, it was like, dude, I don't know how to do this. Like, what the fuck? Like, no, just tell them you've done it before. I'm
now,
like,
here's where we discovered where we're not twins, even though I always wished we were. You're not a salesman.
I cannot lie to the capacity that you can.
I'm not lying. I just actually make myself believe the thing I'm about to say. Is that lying?
I can't do that. Like, I can't make myself believe something that I don't believe in. Like, so
yeah,
so,
but here's the thing. Like I can see why my work is not perfect if I'm doing a portrait photograph.
Oh, my album's
like
garbage.
The backlight is in the portrait.
Oh my god, remember how often I did that and what's her face was still able to sit there and fucking sell the photos because I was so good with the kids. That's the only reason why I kept that job.
I could sell them. That's why we decided that you would photograph and I would sell, because I was a far better photographer. But we decided that
everybody loved me more for some reason.
You would photograph and I would sell, because people had the experience with you
of me being a great guy.
And these photographs are a memory of the experience.
That was one of the strangest, if you want to talk about like esoteria and occultism and psychology, that's one of the most interesting things, is that like it wasn't about my skill as a photographer. It was about the emotions that I evoked in the people while I was photographing them. And that was something that, like, you were a far superior photographer, but you were also a far superior salesman.
Yeah.
And so it's like, because we were sharing rent, you were like, well, I can make $1,200 a week while he makes $500 a week, and he'll always be short on rent.
Or I can make $1,000 while you make $1,000.
I can make $1,000 while you make $1,000. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, it's crazy how that works out. And it's definitely made me realize that I have to really believe in anything to sell it to someone.
Yeah, but I have to be down with it. I can make myself believe it. If I'm looking at a photograph where, the backlight is in there, yeah, but look at the expression on the kid, and you romance it, and who else could do this? I can do this. You can't do this. Can you do this? No. The reason why I know you can't do this is because you came to me to do it. So the reason
especially
why you're
back
here,
in the day, yeah.
The very fact that you're here is evidence to me that you need the skill set that we have. So you are here. Let's talk about giving me your money. And you never really got that.
The funny thing is I'm far more capable with that in the technical arena, because it's like, I know what I'm doing there. Where it's like,
yeah, but I mean, here's where we could go into Odd Nerdrum's philosophy as well about art and aesthetics, that there is a objective standard that aesthetics can be raised to that's based largely upon common sense. But it goes back to the old vernacular of a fallacy, where common sense ain't that common. But a mud hut is not the same as the Taj Mahal. There is a discernible difference. There is an objective standard. Something is either beautiful and appealing, or it is ugly and unappealing. And sometimes things can be ugly and appealing, but sometimes things can be beautiful and unappealing. And I think that's what most of the art market right now is about. It's about the beautiful but unappealing. It's about a standardized production method of things that the mind of the human race has been conditioned to as beautiful, that are simply spiritually, for lack of a better word, unappealing. And that's really what got me started in art, was the fact that I had specific heroes that had a voice, that were
the voice is so important,
that were saying things that were unpopular and unappealing, but then they became popular because it was so outre. It was so beyond the oeuvre of what is being force-fed to them by a standardized national social narrative. Some of my heroes are Anton LaVey, of course, founder of the Church of Satan that I've been a member of since 1999. Marilyn Manson, of course, that his great artwork, in my opinion, is what he did with the album Antichrist Superstar, where he infiltrated the mainstream in a way, quote, that they don't want me to, unquote. Another hero of mine is Gottfried Helnwin, who did exactly the same thing, and now, of course, they're good friends. Another hero of mine is Howard Stern, who said exactly what everybody was thinking, but everybody was afraid to say, and he just said it and got extremely popular because of it. Another, if you want to talk about Odd Nerdrum, he has a philosophy of art that is directly opposed to the narrative that we're force-fed of what popular aesthetics is or should be. So I found my inspiration with those guys, and those are my heroes. And also the occultists, of course, Aleister Crowley, who basically made Satanism in vogue through his Thelema philosophy. And to your point, when I realized that I had an aptitude for visual artwork, Joanne kept talking to Kevin. Our mother kept talking to our father about how good I was at drawing, and he didn't see it. And basically one day what happened, here's the story, is he put a piece of paper in front of me with a pencil, and he said, draw a picture of me. And I was like, I don't know. I think it was before I went to school. I must have been 4. And I held the piece of paper, put it on the table in front of me, and then he was sitting across from me, and I drew him. And I got a little scared because he was freaking out a little bit. I was drawing him upside down, but it was completely natural to me to do that so that him sitting across the table from me would see it right side up. And to this day, I can read mirror images. If you write something in reverse and that you have to hold it up to a mirror so that it's secret code, I don't need a mirror. I can read it in reverse. I can read upside down. I can draw upside down. I can write upside down. I can write backwards. I don't know. It's just
That's kind of funny. I could do the same thing, actually. Like,
I'm
as far
sure.
as writing and yeah.
Well, you're my brother. We're only separated by 2 years. It makes sense.
2 years and a couple of chromosomes.
But the biggest inspiration I ever got from you was when we ended up moving back to Jersey from Lancaster, and we're both living in this fucking house. Which was the best house ever. We had so much fun in that house. And you wrote this fucking album, and you recorded this fucking album in the house. And it took me years because I was so, and this is much to my shame, it took me years to really listen to it like a work of art. Because it goes back to this quote from Anne Rice in her book, Interview with a Vampire, where Louis, who eventually becomes a vampire who's being interviewed, is talking about his human life. And he's talking about his brother, who felt like he was touched by God. And Louis was like, I never believed him. And that was hubris. And the interviewer goes, wait a second, how is that hubris? Why is it vanity to not believe your brother is touched by something divine? And Louis says, because it's vanity to believe, it's vanity to disbelieve that the divine can come so close to you. Because I'm me, that can't happen. That's hubris.
Yeah, exactly.
And that quote has always stuck out to me from that book, Interview with a Vampire. And I was like, oh shit, that is a type of pride. That is a type of vanity. And as a Satanist, I have no problem with pride or vanity, but that is of an unhealthy kind.
It's a specific flavor, yeah.
To come to a point where you're so vain that you've become homogenized in your own mind, and to not believe that anything special can happen to you is actually a type of vanity, because, I'm not special. How could I? So it took me years to listen to your album the way that it's meant to be listened to, which any good album is, where because I have a particular defect where, for all of my I think it's a defect, I don't know yet, for all of my visual abilities, I cannot listen to a song and understand what they're saying because I'm so focused on the sounds. So even when you talk to me, you'll notice, like, I'll start talking right away because I got a vibe from what you're saying, and then I'll stop and I'll be like, oh yeah, blah, 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 blah. So my brain finished processing the words that were actually spoken and the meaning behind them. There's a name for it, but I almost certainly have that thing.
I'm kind of like oddly victim to that too, is the weird thing, where I will, mine comes up as a problem in conversation where I make assumptions about what the person is about to say, and it gets me in a lot of trouble. So I'm
not making assumptions. I'm hitting a vibe, and my brain's like, that's what he said. Like it's like, it's
yeah,
like
but that's what I mean. Like that
Gorillaz.
vibe changes the words.
Yeah, well, it's like the old saying from the Gorillaz, you don't see with your eyes, you perceive with your mind. So I don't hear with my ears, I perceive with my mind. So I'm getting a vibe from you, and then I run with the vibe, especially doing a podcast, because you don't want to have the time to consider with dead air. So I'm like, blah, 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 blah. And then like a second, I'll stop and I'll be like, and then all of a sudden, the words actually de-scrambled in my brain because all I heard were sounds and vibes and expressionary tones. So as astute as I am in visual media, so I took the time to sit down with your album years after you wrote it when we were back in Jersey. And I took the time when we were in the hunting lodge. I took the time to sit down and listen to the album while I had the lyric sheet in front of me so I could read along with the lyrics and actually understand them. And Jesus Christ, dude, if that album, what's the name of it again?
The Fall.
And it's by the outfit is called the Half-Life.
The Half-Life is what I decided to name myself. Very unfortunately, because I thought it was a cool idea. But yeah, that video game is very famous. So moving on.
Yeah, so it's not very searchable right now. Well, we're gonna try to change that. But yeah, so I listened to the album. I took the space. I got myself a couple beers. Sat down in my studio, which in the hunting lodge was the Three Seasons room.
Oh, gorgeous. Yeah, the Three Seasons room. Like, that was such an awesome place to hang out. Like, I actually kind of miss just chilling with you with a couple of logs in the wood burning stove while you're painting, and we're just hanging out, listening to music, drinking beer. Dude, that was an awesome place to live.
So I had some time alone, and I was in the studio in the Three Seasons room, and I start listening to your album, and I pull out the lyric sheet from the album jacket, and I'm just sitting there like,
yeah, because I actually printed this fucker.
This is the most hopeless, desperate, deeply dark. There's no light in this album whatsoever. I was like, this is the darkest, most desperate, hopeless. It is tantamount to spiritually just bashing your head against the wall until you die. You're not breaking the wall down. And I really, like, I've never heard an album like that before. And I really began to appreciate you as an artist, that you could not only lyrically, but sonically create something that was that hopeless, that's still felt
empowering, I guess.
No,
no.
It's like if you have a pretty photograph, it draws your eye, and then you're like, oh, that's just a pile of shit. Like, it's literally a photograph of a pile of shit.
This is the most incredible looking pile of shit I've ever seen.
So it draws you in, but then and that's the power of aesthetics. It draws you in, but then once I was in there and I really paid attention to it, because I would listen to your songs on whatever I was playing at the time, all the time, the ones that I liked sonically, but I never really, because I have that thing. I never read the lyrics more than a couple times, so I didn't remember them. But then I listened to it while I was leaving, and I did the whole album, and I was like, this is the most hopeless fucking dark shit I've ever fucking listened to. But that's, in my opinion, that's an exciting achievement, that you created something that expresses that type of desperate, empty desolation that's actually engaging to the ear, that's actually engaging to listen to. And I'm sorry that it took me so long to do that.
Oh no, yeah. I'm like, the funny thing is that it never bothers me because I want it to sound better. Like, not, like, just sonically better. Like I just want it to be more on form, layered correctly, produced properly.
Well, I think that's kind of the point of being an artist, is you're always hyper self-critical. You have to be in order to improve, because money isn't the important thing to us. It's I think the important thing to artists is communication.
Is expression. Yeah. And so the funny thing is that actually led to us doing Morning Sun, which I consider, and I hope you feel the same way, one of the best songs I've ever written.
I think it's the best song I've ever written. I wish that my voice wasn't on the recording.
So I did a version with my voice, and I thought it was better with yours, in all honesty, because I feel like you actually sounded like you meant it, and I was trying to sound good.
There's that, yeah. Yeah.
That's why I kept your voice in it, because I recorded an entire cut of it. Me singing instead of you. And I felt like it sounded flat.
Yeah. I was going through something, and I wanted to express myself in song, and you helped me with that.
And so we went into the loft in the hunting lodge. It's like,
yes.
no, like this is this mythical thing that's wonderful about being an artist is there's always a story to everything. This thing had like this narrow wooden staircase that you had to go up, and that's where all my like fucking musical equipment was. And I was like, well, what do you want to do? And he hands me these lyrics, and I'm like, okay. And I start making music. And then I hand him the music, and he's like, well, I don't feel like the lyrics are good enough for the music. And I was like, well, if you want, I can help you with the lyrics. So I write but it turned into this whole interchange that I have to imagine is the way that like when you really get someone, because the whole thing is I hadn't written music for a while at that point, but it's like when you sit there and you have a situation where somebody gives you something you can sink your teeth into, because that's really what it was, because he was feeling something genuine and I was feeling numb.
Mm-hmm.
And so the second he gave me something where it's like, hey, there's this really deep and powerful emotion I'm feeling, and here's my lyrics. And I'm like, hey, your lyrics are shit.
Yeah.
Your music is shit.
Yeah.
Your emotion, I can eat that like a fucking buffet.
And that's really what you did. You fucking devoured it and shat it back out into golden, like literally, I think it was like 35 minutes. It was incredible.
But when I listened to me singing it versus you singing it, I sounded vacant.
I think both of them aren't great.
Yours has that feeling that was there when you showed it to me, though.
Yeah.
Like, no, I felt what you felt. I felt what you felt when you showed me the original lyrics.
I think that sometimes
when you sat there,
comes through with authentic emotional need, authentic expression, more than it does.
100%.
More than it does with the artifices of aesthetic. Aesthetic is meant to draw you in. It has to be captivating to the eye. But once you get in there, there's a message. There's a communication. And
I only write ugly, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, I won't say me too. Sometimes I do paint beautiful, but there is a line in the movie Immortal Beloved that stars what's his name is Beethoven.
It's
the guy who
Gary
played,
Oldman. Gary Oldman. Gary
Oldman.
Sorry.
There you go. He goes, you know, so somebody's playing his music. He's already deaf at this point. And he walks up to somebody. He's like, "What do you think of the music?" And the guy goes, "Oh," he's like, "Well, what do you think it means? What do you think the purpose of music is?" And he goes, "To elevate the soul." And the guy, "I can't hear you. Write it down." So you go, "Elevate the soul." No, nonsense. If you hear a military march, you march. If you hear a dog whistle, you come running. What is the purpose of music? And the whole interchange ends up with Beethoven's theory of the purpose of music, which is the purpose of all art, in my opinion. It's communication. It's to bring you into the mind of whoever created it while they were creating it, what they had to express, and allow you to go on a journey with them through their catharsis, because the creation of all true art is a catharsis. They're allowing you, think about a movie. I cried when Iron Man died in Endgame. I cried.
Endgame. Oh, yeah. Poof.
I cried. I literally cried in the theater, unashamed. I didn't go through any of this, but yes, I did, because the artist who created it is taking me on a journey. Now, that could be seen as sub-sophomoric that I cried at a Marvel movie, but go fuck yourself. It's art. All art is art. Art is art, and what's not art is not art.
Any artist that can make a character real to you is a true artist, regardless of whether or not it's
and
corporate
Robert
art
Downey Jr. and the guy who directed those,
fucking phenomenal actor.
Phenomenal. Absolutely.
Him and Chaplin, oof.
One of my favorite movies, Chaplin, starring Robert Downey Jr. as Charlie Chaplin. Go watch it right now. Oh my God. Not enough people know about this fucking movie.
It's amazing.
And a very young what's-her-face from Resident Evil.
Mila Jovovich.
And you get to see her slightly naked. So there's go Go watch it. Oh my God, so good.
If you want to watch something that's good with Mila Jovovich, watch The Fifth Element.
That's true. I just meant if you want to see her,
because she's
Leela.
Leela.
She was very young.
Yeah, no, she's naked in The Fifth Element. She's topless anyway.
I don't have that version.
Yeah, no.
Gorgeous. I'll have to watch it.
Love
again.
it.
But yeah, so it's about putting you into the mind set that the people who are creating it are in, and I think that's important.
Well, so, I think the most interesting thing about Morning Sun was that you had
the song that we wrote together. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you had a feeling, and you wrote some lyrics, and the chorus largely got kept. And I was just like, well, let me make this work because I felt what you're feeling. That's the wonderful thing about
the song
collaboration.
Is essentially about the dissolution of one's humanity, where you get behind the matrix and now you're looking at it as a screen, and you're no longer the actor in your own drama or narrative. Now you are the director. Now you get to look at everything from the outside, and the pain that comes along with that perspective, and you feel almost monstrous because from that perspective of authorship, or a Godhead 2,000 feet in the air perspective, you begin to feel the dissolution of your humanity, and you feel like a monster next to human beings. And that's what that song was about. And I think that you expressed that perfectly in the lyrics, far better than I could. Yeah.
Well, the funny thing about the whole situation is, like, it was really great to work together on something like that.
Yeah, well, after that, we also worked on a painting for the cover for one of your singles, where I painted the cover for one of your singles. I did a watercolor of a skull, and we did that.
Oh, yeah.
Like 10
What's
minutes,
the name of that?
That was a lot of fucking fun, man.
Yeah, so that was actually inspired a little piece that I did because I had heard about another group of artists doing that. But yeah, that was super awesome. It was the like how much art can you make in X amount of time off of each other, kind of. Because
yeah, was
that
really cool. I enjoyed it.
That was Grandmother of My Illusion, I believe, was the one thing that came out of it. And the other one was because the main one that came out that you and I both really like, I'm trying to remember what that was called.
Well, I really like, as far as what you produced yourself, I really like The Knife. That's one of my favorites. But my favorite song that you've ever written is even with the AI one that you did, that's going to be at the end of this podcast. That's going to be the outro music, a snippet of it. And I'll have all the links in the description. My favorite thing that you've ever written yourself without AI, and including the AI one, is The Knife. That's my favorite. Oh, no. I'm sorry. The one that you wrote for our father during his second marriage. That's
the second time around.
Second time around. I think that's a fucking beautiful song, dude. And I really...
You can play that if you want. There's no copyright.
I like the... yeah, I know. I not only like the lyrics, but I like the music. But dude, you'd be better to look this up. I can't fucking look it up. You fucking find it. Find your fucking channel and get some of your fucking music loaded up so we can fucking listen to it. And then I'll continue my intro. I'll continue my intro while you're looking that shit up. Go ahead.
But no, I mean,
look it up. I want to play some of your fucking music. All right, so I am a painter. I don't
know how to do this.
Sorry, what?
No, go on. All
right. So, yeah, my intro. I don't know. He took all my steam out of me. So I paint. This is a painting of my bunker mate. His name is Harry the Taxman. I enjoy painting from life. I don't get to do that so often because most people don't want to sit still. But I am an oil painter. I am also the Hat Man. So anytime you see the King of the Shadow people, the shadow person that is wearing a very large hat, visit you in your hypogognic state right before you fall asleep or right after you wake up, draining your life force from you, that is me as well. So there are legends written about me, but nobody knows who I am. It's me, this guy. Yeah, so I was a photographer for, we already went into that. I was a photographer for over 20 years. The pandemic pretty much screwed that up. It's very hard to make a living at that now, even with your own business, which I had for about 15 years. But I've always, and here's the thing about being a photographer. I was working in one of my jobs largely with college graduates, recent college graduates, and I always say, hey, I get that photography is an art form, and I didn't appreciate it until I started doing photographs at 19 years old, my first real job that I got my brother involved in. I didn't realize, like, hey, man, you got to have your finger on the trigger and you got to start hitting the button a few milliseconds before the anticipated reaction of your subject, in portrait photography anyway. That's a fucking art form. And also you have to compose everything else, and you got to capture that perfect moment. There's milliseconds. You got to start hitting the button before they do what you want them to do. And that's an art, absolutely. But I tell these kids, anytime I want to express something personal, I don't pick up a camera, I pick up a paintbrush. They took offense to that. I don't get why. But anyway, I am an occultist. I've been fascinated by sorcery since I was 16 years old, probably before. I was introduced to sorcery when I got the Satanic Bible at 16. I've been a Satanist probably since I was born, but we'll say ever since that.
Who introduced you to the Satanic Bible? I don't think I've ever heard that story.
Well, if you want to hear the story, I'll tell you about it. It was basically Marilyn Manson, but it was Sean Allen.
Okay.
So Sean Allen watched a documentary on Marilyn Manson that talked about the Church of Satan, and then he bought 2 copies of the Satanic Bible, and he came over my house one day with one.
Well, isn't he a sweetheart?
But here's the big thing, and this was my introduction to sorcery and ritual. Our parents had divorced, and I had decided to live with our mother, who was extremely abusive, but it wasn't quite as abusive in the same way as our father.
It wasn't physically abusive.
So I decided to live with our mother.
A heavy capacity.
Right.
Because I remember her breaking a blood vessel in her hand, slapping your face. So
I can give a few stories where I gave as good as I got too, but it doesn't matter.
No, it's fine.
As long as you're smaller than her, she'll beat the fuck out of you. But once you get bigger than her, she'll try and she loses, and then now you're abusing her. So I was in my room one night and praying to God to relieve, because we grew up in a very religious Christian household, and I was praying to God one night, please relieve me from I can't take this anymore. She's terrible. I mean, there's no food. I'm starving, and I don't know what to do. I can't go back with our father, Kevin. I can't.
You gotta make the condiment sandwich, man.
Yeah. So one day, she gave me a list of all the food that she had in the house because she was sick of me bitching about not eating. Because we don't need to do that. And she gave me a list of all the food in the house, and I was like, oh, ketchup, pickles, mustard, bread. And that was pretty much it. And I was like, what do you want me to do? Make a fucking condiment sandwich? The fuck is this?
Dude, we were surviving on Cinnabons.
Fucking 15. I'm not going to say condiment, fucking.
Do you remember that, though? We were, like, living on Cinnabons.
No, I don't. Oh, because I worked
you
at
and
Cinnabon.
Desiree lived at Cinnabon.
Yeah, me and my girlfriend worked at Cinnabon, so all we ate were fucking Cinnabons. I'm sure that did a lot for our health.
Oh, yeah, there was a ton of them in the freezer, like a metric ton of Cinnabons.
Dude, well, I mean, if you're starving and you get a job where you get to take home food that they're just going to throw out anyway, you fucking take it all home.
Dude, I was working at McDonald's. I ate all of it, too. I was, like, constantly just, like, fucking chicken nugget.
So I'm praying to God, And I just get this thought in the back of my head that sounds like my own voice. And it says, you're talking to the corner of your bedroom. And then I woke up. I was kneeling in front of the bed with my hands folded the way I had been taught. And then it's just that voice. And I just woke up. It was my voice, though. And I was like, holy fuck, I'm just talking to the corner of my bedroom. There is nobody listening. And I sat there for a second. I said, okay, let's try the other guy. Now, for some reason, my instinct...
Hey, buddy!
My instinct took over, and I knew that ritual was important. So all I had was I had a candle, and I lit the candle. And instead of talking to the corner of my bedroom, I talked to the candle. But I used the name Satan instead of Jesus. And then a week later, the Satanic Bible fell in my lap. From Sean Allen. And that changed my life. I read it. And it's not that I was indoctrinated. I read the book. And I was like, I felt all of these things my entire life. 16. But I've never had the ability to articulate it. This is somebody that's actually thought it through, and he's showing me essentially why I'm right, why this makes sense for me. Now, if somebody asks me, why do you believe that? I can be like, because of this. So I was like, oh, fuck, I'm a Satanist. And magic has been, so my artwork, generally speaking, in most of my past has been about changing myself. If I see something in myself that needs to change, I will paint the change. And there are several paintings that I can point to where I've done this. The Baphomet is a great one. And this painting describes the apotheosis of the ego. And you'll see that the head is severed, and then there's a floating head above the female body. So the Baphomet traditionally has both sex organs. It combines both human and animal, but it also has male and female aspects. So this is my version of that. And it is actually about the same thing that you and I did with not Morning Sun, I think the other one, where I'm talking about the clinical, the separate observation of self taking over from the emotional impetus, and that being the go-to ego mechanism, and, you know, the pain of that and the rage that can form from that. But a lot of my paintings have been about self-exploration and changing the self ever since then. Yeah, don't want to take away from your steam, but you've been a tremendous inspiration to me as well. Not only when you were creating work, but also just being able to hang out with you every night and drink and fucking talk about shit. So, you know, that's basically my background. That's who we are. This is probably the worst episode of a podcast ever in the history of podcasts, but you were looking at something. That's my introduction. So I'm working on this as a portrait of Harry, my friend, and I'm starting a new series. I'll talk about that in the intro. You were looking something up. Good.
Oh, I forget what that even was. Harry's on fire.
What do you mean Harry's on fire?
The painting. The painting's really good. You've captured a facial expression on him that perfectly encapsulates what he doesn't think he is. And I think that's tremendously interesting.
Well, this is interesting to me because this is the second.
Because he doesn't think he's vulnerable.
This is the second layer. So let me tell you a little story. This is the second layer of the painting. Right. In oil paint, you have to go layer by layer, right? And in the first layer, I didn't even do a pencil drawing. I just went right in with the brush. He's sitting in front of me, no photograph, you know. Just went in right in with the brush.
He was Donald Ducking it so hard.
And, you know, I did the background before he sat down, and then the way that he sat, I was like, oh, all the highlight areas of the background are exactly where your body is. Perfect. That's exactly what dude, it's like I don't even paint that much anymore, and I'm just getting better. It's awesome. And so I just started painting him, and after the first layer, he looked like that very popular puppet by that comedian. What's that puppet's name? That,
I don't know.
You know, the only popular comedian that does puppets nowadays? And it's like this old cranky guy that has like crossed eyes, you know? Can you look that up real quick? Otherwise, I have to look it up because we got to tell people who this is. We got to show a picture of him. I'll cut out any dead air. That's fine.
The famous puppet comedian.
Most famous puppet. I want to know the name of the puppet.
It's something. It's Jeff Dunham is the guy who...
Jeff Dunham is the comedian. Yeah.
And then it is... Who's this asshole? Walter, right?
Walter is the name of the cranky old guy puppet that he has?
Yeah, with the bow tie. Yeah.
Okay, so the first iteration of this painting that I did looked like the puppet Walter. And if the name is wrong, I'll put it under the picture that I superimpose in post. And he was like, I kind of look like that. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Just wait. But when I started to go over the face in the second layer, he was like, how should I look? Because he was talking to me the whole time. And I was like, listen, you got to sit still for like 10 minutes. Can you do that? And he's like, yeah. How should I look? I said,
stupid.
Well, here's the thing. I want you to look defiant, but I want there to be a sense of melancholy because I think that is the true character. And then really what I was looking for was something in between. And I think I'm beginning to capture it pretty well.
Can I be honest with you?
I'm really happy that you like the expression and it's something that you think that he doesn't see within himself. I appreciate that.
Can I be honest with you? Like, throw that back up on the screen.
Really what I was trying to do was capture my perception of, you know, him and the way he feels rather than his self-projection of what he thinks he is. I wanted to capture something of essence. So, yeah.
No, so throw that image back on the screen. I think the most interesting thing about this is that is how I always see him, because they're like, you did such a good job with the eyes, because like between the eyes and the mouth, he's got this thing going on where he's like, he's accusing you, and like you can see that in his eyes. He's
there's
like,
a defiance there, but there's a sadness. Yeah.
No, it's an accusatory thing. He's like, you're fucking with me. You're doing something to me. Like he is looking at you like, I'm going to shoot you because you did this to me. But at the same time, he's like, I don't know what you're doing. Like, why are you doing this? Like, that's a very subtle thing that you've caught in like particularly the jawline and the eye expression. Like, he looks depressed, angry, and ready to fucking kill somebody.
When you listen to Odd Nerdrum talk about portraits, the word that he uses a lot, he's Norwegian, so he's generally not talking in English. But the word that he uses a lot can translate easily into melancholia. And it is loosely translated to the overarching, the way that I look at it, let's say this, it's the overarching understanding of the cosmic joke and your part to play in it. And that's what I think every good portrait needs to capture in essence, along with the personality of the individual, because then you're capturing the soul. But I'm wrapping words around it, but that's the feeling. It's kind of like in X-Men First Class, that great line in the movie where he's trying to teach Magneto how to control his powers. And he says, true power lies between rage.
I forget what it is, but rage.
True power lies between rage and serenity. I love that line, and that's what I was trying to capture. The line between where the true spirit of the true power of the soul of the individual is, between right on the line between rage and serenity, And is what I think Ad Nerdrum means about melancholia.
No, you did a great job with the eyes and the jawline.
It's not done yet. I got a few more layers to go, but I appreciate it.
I'm just letting you know that facial expression, like, that's the, like, fuck you, you fucked me. Like, he's angry. He's like, there's this thing to his face where he's just like really?
And for anybody who doesn't know, Harry is going to be our guest on the next episode of this podcast. So you guys will be introduced to him.
But he looks sad too. Like, I think that's a really good paint. Like,
he's one of the most generous men I've ever known. We'll go a little bit into his backstory. He beat the RS in open court. Other than that, he's had a pretty sad life. We'll try to dig into that a little bit. He's never been very open with me about it, but I sense it from him, and that's what I tried to capture in the painting.
But yeah, there's ghosts in that fire, and even just I want to draw out, like, even just if his face wasn't there, that background, the way you did the reds and oranges.
No, it's not nearly done yet, but I appreciate that.
Dude, the way you're doing the composition is fucking amazing.
maybe we should have you like super drunk all
just
like
you're
being very complimentary.
No. so no, just like sit there and switch back to the image of this. I want to point this out. So you sit there and you look at, like, okay, so we're just doing like the bottom end of it's non-existent, basically. We're doing like that, much. Like, hey, it's just fading into nothing.
Most of what I focused on is the face so far.
There's a weight in his eyes and in his skin and in his forehead, and the way that that's all concentrating around the way he's looking at the observer. Like, he's judging the person who's looking at this.
Yeah, that's me.
And at the same time, he is fucking engulfed in fire, basically.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna try to keep that sort of effect in the background, the fire effect. I like it.
That is really well done. Like, just like he looks disappointed in the viewer. Like, wait, you didn't realize who I am?
Yeah.
Like,
most people that meet him do not.
Art is an indictment of people who are judging him.
Yeah, most people that meet him do not realize who or what he is. When you first meet him, he's extremely easy to dismiss. However, if you spend a little bit of energy to get to know him, he's one of the best human beings that you can ever hope to meet. A true individualist, I would say.
But it's like, this whole image is like, hey, everything's burning down around me, though. Like, why aren't you seeing this?
Yeah, it's like that meme that we have on our old podcasts.
Everything's fine.
Twitter page. Yeah, everything's fine. I'll show that right now. Yeah.
But now, like, you nailed that facial expression, and it's like, I don't know if he's ever had that.
So no, that's not a real
but
expression.
That's so. I thought so.
Yeah, he never had that expression. It's not a photograph. That's composed from my knowledge of him. Yeah.
But it's because you're trying to sit there and show that it's like, well, he would never have that expression.
I want to compose. If you're going to do a portrait while the person's in front of you, the idea is to capture the soul of the human being, not just their physical essence. Yeah.
He's just angry that you're taking a picture.
So listen, it's on the table. I gave it to Joanne the other day. I had to go to Scranton for something, so I went to visit our mother. It's on the table. I miss painting from life, and I think it's a really good skill set to have, and I want to stay sharp. So I gave her the opportunity, if you ever want to come over for a few hours and sit. I won't make you like sit like a fucking statue, except for like a few minutes at a time.
Sit for photos, I got you.
No, I'm not taking photos. I'm drawing from life. I'm painting from life. So, if you want to come sit for a portrait, I told her, be happy to do a portrait of you, and I would like to extend the The same opportunity to you. If you ever want to come up here and just sit, all you have to do is sit down. We can talk. And then every so often we'd be like, shut up, sit still. Generally, I'm gonna time it so that it's when you're talking about something where I don't want to hear you fucking anymore, and I'm gonna be like, I need to paint your face now, shut up. And then I'm gonna be like, I'm painting his hand. No, just joking. But if you want to do that, I do enjoy it. So, open invitation. I'd love to do it, and I'll give you the painting, of course.
But I think there's actually only two things where I've sat there and been like, oh man, he didn't do anything with that. The one was when you were doing the portrait of me in the Butler house with the bookshelf behind me, because you were doing really fucking good with that.
Ooh, I remember
and
that. Yeah. I remember that was photorealistic too. But that was off.
That was
live. That wasn't from life.
No, that was very incredible. Yeah. The other one, the funniest one to me, is that you did this one painting where it was like Marilyn Manson meets you, kind of, with blue skin. And
I remember the one
you were painting it photorealistic. And then you were like, you know what? I feel like this would be better if it looked like shit. And then you sat there and like painted this like goopy fucking like, oh yeah, this is impressionistic. I'm so avant-garde.
I was a little under the philosophical weight of the post-impressionist movement at the time. We'll talk about that in another episode, like the strict philosophy of it. Yeah, it was almost like I want to see more, but for me it was emotional. It was more like I want to see more brushstrokes. I want to see more paint. I'm not just creating an image. I want to see what the paint can do, and then we ended up with what we ended up with. But it was a learning process for me.
Oh, 100%. And I can't play any instrument. I'm going to throw that out there.
Yes, you can.
But yeah, no. It was very interesting to sit there and see that specific piece of art, because I was so enamored, and then like you changed it, and I was like,
Yeah, I know. I know. I remember that distinctly. We always talk about or joke about how bad my memory is, but it's not that bad. I do remember that.
No,
yeah.
And my music is terrible, by the way. Everybody. Stop. Don't check it out.
Yeah, all right. You've drank too much. Let's call this. It's an hour and 48 minutes in, so let's call it. So we've introduced ourselves. This is the new podcast that we're doing. I was inspired by Chet Zar, the fantasy dark artist. He has a podcast called The Dark Art something or other, and he interviews other artists, and I thought it was a good idea to get my channel started. So that's what we're doing. We introduced ourselves. That's who we are. That's what we do. Yeah, let's end it on there, and I'll talk about stuff that I'm doing on the next episode. Other than the portrait of Harry, I got a young boy sitting in front of my camera right now who's obviously not doing too well. That's a painting that I've done too.
That all sounds terrible. Like, why are you telling people this? I've got a young boy on my couch right now.
I sit on my table.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's end it there. Hey man, thanks for doing this with me, and we'll pick it up next time you come on. It was really fun. Appreciate it.
No, of course.
That brought me back memory lane, and kind of took me to a few places that I haven't been to for a long time. So I sincerely appreciate that. That was so cathartic, if nothing
real else. Quick. There's a song called Morning Sun, MOURNING. That this magnificent human gave the inspiration for, and we wrote together.
You're very kind.
And so if you want to check it out, he can put the link for it, but he sings it. He thought of the concept. It's entirely his emotions and we got to work on that together, and that was beautiful.
It was really beautiful. I have the link to the channel for a lot of the recent stuff that you've done. Any other links that you can send me in the next day, I'll put in the description for your album, for the other music, for your poetry, for Morning Sun, for example. I'll put it in the description, but you have to get them to me like tomorrow.
Okay, gotcha.
All right. But thank you very much. I appreciate that. This has been a lot of fun, and I appreciate you doing this with me. I didn't expect it to be this long, but yeah, it's been nice. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for watching the Evilution Podcast. In seminal episode. We'll get better. Trust me. Like, let me wink at the camera.
We're pregnant with possibility.
We're pregnant with possibility.
Because the seminal episode.
Yeah, we'll talk to you soon.
We had our time, but we took it too much and threw it away and squandered it. Rolling through the ashes and dreaming of a fire that was there. Our minds are burning, our hearts are drowning in.